Many, many lessons ago, we covered how to say that you are doing a verb. And a while ago, also, we learned how to say you're doing one verb and then you're doing another verb. But now we're going to learn how to say you're doing two verbs at the same time using Nagara and Aida. First, we're going to look at Nagara. So Nagara is one of those many, many verb endings. And in this case, you add it to the end of a verb stem. So for a very brief refresher on what a verb stem is, you're basically taking a verb in its masu form and you're just dropping the masu, and whatever is left over is the stem. So here are a few examples of verb stems. Yomimasu becomes yomi, tabemasu becomes tabe, undou shimasu becomes undou-shii. So once you have the verbs and their verb stems, all you have to do to convert them to their nagara form is to just add nagara. So yomimasu becomes yomi-nagara. Tabemasu becomes tabe-nagara. Undou shimasu becomes undou-shi shi-nagara. So here's how you make some very basic sentences with nagara. Verb 1 in stem form plus nagara, followed by verb 2. And this means you're doing verb 2 while doing verb 1. So here are some very short examples. Aruki-nagara taberu means eat while walking. Undouしながらキスする, to kiss while working out, exercising. Suwari-nagara shaberu, which is what I'm doing right now. It's talking while sitting down. And you can, of course, extend this to longer sentences. Utai-nagara踊ることが難しいです. So utai-nagara, while singing, odoru, dance. So dancing while singing, koto. So you may remember from several lessons back, if you add koto to the end of a verb, it's turning that verb sort of into a noun, the concept of dancing, but in this case it is the concept of dancing while singing, ga muzukashii desu, difficult desu. So the concept of dancing while singing is difficult, or just, it's hard to dance while singing. Here's a very romantic one. Kimiをこの腕に抱きながら眠りたい. So, Kimi wo daki nagara nemuritai. Just take out the kono ude ni part for now. Daki nagara nemuritai. Daki nagara is while holding someone in your arms. Nemuritai is I want to, because it has the tai ending. I want to fall asleep. I want to sleep while holding someone in my arms. Then, Kimi wo daki-nagara nemuritai means I want to hold you in my arms while I fall asleep. And then with this insertion of kono ude ni, we're really specifying these arms of mine, my arms. And that also makes it sound a lot more romantic and poetic. This is like very, very cliche song lyrics sort of thing. In fact, it might even be song lyrics, and my brain was just like, this. You've heard it many times. Anyway, Kimi o kono ude ni daki nagara nemuritai. I want to hold you in my arms, in these arms of mine, while I fall asleep. So note how in English, we start the whole sentence with I want, blah, 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 and then Japanese, it's da 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 da. And by the way, I want to do all of this stuff because it ends in tai. So the nemuritai in Japanese is I want to sleep while holding you in my arms. But you could also think of it as while holding you in my arms, I want to fall asleep. So just know that the tai ending on a verb can sometimes move itself to other verbs when you translate the sentence. Here's another sentence where you change the tense that the final verb in the sentence is. Benkyouしながら帽子を編みましょうよ. So, 帽子を編みましょう. That is let's knit a hat. Yo, it's like emphatically, come on, let's do this thing. It is a great idea, so saith I. But it's 勉強しながら, so that's while studying. So the whole sentence is, let's knit hats while studying. So here's one final note about nagara before we move on to Aida, is that both verbs must be performed by the same person. So I can't say like, while I'm driving, Ben picks strawberries using nagara. That would be a different grammar thing. So here's another example of a sentence that's just wrong in Japanese. 私は, me, 料理しながら Yamada-san がひげを剃る. So what I think I'm saying here, even though it's bad grammar, is 私は料理しながら while I cook. Yamada-san がひげを剃る. Yamada is shaving his beard. But that's wrong. That's bad grammar. You wouldn't say that because we're two different people performing the verbs, so you can't say nagara. So if you wanted to express that Yamada-san is shaving while I am cooking, I would use Aida. And that's a perfect segue into Aida. So Aida is, it's a little more specific than nagara. Aida means like, two events are taking place, and one of those events is taking place entirely within the time span of the other event. So maybe like event A takes 10 minutes and event B only takes 7 minutes, but all of those 7 minutes where event B is taking place happens within event A's time frame. So it's kind of more like during or in between. And if you look at the kanji for Aida, that is what it means. It means like between. So here's the basic formula for how to use Aida. Verb A in its te-iru form plus Aida ni followed by verb B. And these verbs, you can also think of them as events. They might be complicated things like hige wo soru, even though soru is the verb. Hige wo soru together is the event, shaving a beard. So let's revisit that sentence earlier that did not work with Nagara. 私は料理している間に山田さんが髭を剃った. So I changed it to past tense. Yamada shaved his face while I was cooking, basically. And notice how 私は料理している, that is like a present tense, like I am cooking. But in the translation is while I was cooking, because again, the verb at the very end of the sentence is past tense. So it changes all of the verbs before it also into past tense. In Japanese, you literally say, while I am cooking, Yamada shaved his beard, but that's really weird in English. So we would say, while I was cooking, Yamada shaved his beard, or Yamada shaved his beard while I was cooking. So these Aida sentences will almost always be in past tense, but just like in the Nagara sentences, you can play around with the different verb endings of your verb B or your event B. And here's one sentence that does that. ルームメイトがお仕事にいる間にうんこしておきたい. It's a very important sentence to know. Okay, so ルームメイト, roommate, がお仕事にいる. So to be at work, basically. So my roommate is at work. Aida ni, so this is event A. While my roommate is at work. Unko shite okitai. So unko suru is to go poop. And then if you remember our te-oku verb endings from a few lessons ago, if you say unko shite okitai or unko shite oku, that means like to poop now so that you don't have to do it later, or like to get it over with, to poop now so you don't have to do it later. And it's okitai, so it means I want to get my pooping out of the way while my roommate is gone at work. Hashtag relatable. So also unlike Nagara, verb A, as I've said, it's either a verb or it's an event, so it doesn't actually have to be a verb. Here is an example of a sentence. 留守の間に好きな人が来ちゃった. So 留守, it's a noun, and it means to not be home. Like in English, it's a verb. It's like the action of not being at home, being away, basically. But it's a noun in Japanese. No aida ni, so while I was not at home, while I was away. 好きな人, my crush, my person I like, が来ちゃった. So kita, if it were just the regular past tense, that would be my crush came, showed up while I was gone. But since I added the ちゃった ending, you may remember from a couple lessons ago, or 来てしまった, it's the ending that's saying, it's unfortunate that this verb happened. So it's more like, my crush came by while I wasn't at home, and that really sucks. Oh, heartbreaking. So as I mentioned earlier with Aida, oftentimes event B or verb B doesn't necessarily take as much time as verb A or event A. Like your event A maybe took 10 minutes and event B only took 7 minutes, and that 7 minutes happened within the entire 10 minutes of event A. It didn't go over or under a little bit. If you want to say that these two events coincided like exactly at the same time and event B did not happen within event A, you'd basically just drop particle ni. So it's the same sentence structure, just no ni. So here's an example. 旦那ちゃんがゲームをしている間、私はトーストを食べて待ちました. So this is a very long sentence. So let's look at the first part of it, the first event before the Aida and the comma. So 旦那ちゃん, my hubby, がゲームをしている間, playing games. So while, during the duration in which my husband is playing games, but there's a past tense verb at the very end of the sentence, so it's going to be was playing video games. So while my husband was playing video games, 私は, me, feminine, トーストを食べて, I eat toast and 待ちました, waited. So I ate toast and I waited, or you can even translate that as I ate toast while waiting. Notice you don't have to use Nagara or Aida to do the concept of doing one verb while you're doing another verb. You can just use a te form of a verb too, so fun. So that whole sentence, while my hubby was busy playing games, I waited for him while eating toast. So this is like these two events are coinciding at the same time. It's not like I ate toast a little bit and waited like only for part of the time while he was playing games. No, I was waiting like during the entire time that he was playing games. I wasn't only waiting for like part of that time. So these two events are happening at the same time, so I don't use particle ni. I just say Aida, comma. For timestamps of all of the phrases I covered in this video, check the pinned comment of the comment section or the video description. Also, if you go to that video description, you'll see some other links to wonderful resources where you can learn Japanese, because you should not learn all your Japanese from me. I'm a translator. I just offer one perspective, and it's a good idea to get a multitude of perspectives. If you want more materials in this series, you can support it on Patreon for as little as $2 a month and get monthly worksheets and/or answer keys and/or study guides and/or song translation tutorials from me. Check out my Patreon if you're interested. And speaking of which, thank you to all of the patrons who support this and other series on this channel. And I hope that you tune in next week when we cover verbs in their ba form. Ganbatte ne!